A little while ago, a company by the name of Engwe sent me over an electric bike. Before we get into the review though, let's go ahead and put this thing together. Before I even opened the bike up, I noticed that the package had been beaten up pretty good, which made me worry about the integrity of the contents inside. So I opened it up to take a look. So right off the bat, the back fender has some scuff marks on it. That's just the first thing I see. That's not really a big deal. That's just surface damage there, so I'm not super worried about that. It's this side in here. So we're gonna take the bike out and find out. Okay, so this is one of those bikes where the front tire is actually removed. So I'm actually wondering if this is a folding bike or not. I don't actually know if this is. I spent a decent amount of time cutting off the zip ties, removing the styrofoam from everything, and really trying to make sure that nothing was broken as I went through. That is when I found this. Ooh. Okay. So it looks like the back light got damaged in shipping. Now, cutting through all the packaging is a really fun and enjoyable process, but I'm just gonna skip forward. Okay, so the whole thing is unboxed. The base frame is right over here. I guess I left a piece of styrofoam on it. The light is attached to it already, and then we've got all our miscellaneous pieces and parts right over here. So I've gotta go ahead and assemble all this real quick. Good thing they came with a manual in there. We'll see how easy that was to follow. And yeah, we'll do some testing and see what this bike is like. Got the seat. All right. So let's start with the easy thing, shall we? Putting the pedals on is just as easy as screwing them in. And then tightening them down. And that's on there. This collapsible stem was one of the most difficult parts for me. The manual wasn't too specific on how to put this on, and I actually realized way later, by studying the picture in the manual, how this thing was actually supposed to go on. I messed this step up about 4 different times before I finally got it right. Okay, so that goes in a specific way, so this has to be like this. That's almost straight. It's not straight, but it's almost straight. So that's gonna take some fiddling, it looks like, to get that correct. I hope I'm not throwing this thing off. Man. Okay. There we go. There we go. Now that looks straight. I love this. This is a satisfying click. It's actually really easy to hook in and hook off. It's like actually probably the most satisfying I've ever felt from an electric bike. That's a good lock. And then this also seems to have the pin. Yeah, that actually snaps in really nice too. That's nice. Don't you like it, Henry? No? After I finally got the neck on and I was satisfied with it, I went to put the handlebars on, and let's go up like... Oh my god. Okay, so I thought it was gonna go on like this. It actually, because of how I have it, is gonna go on like that. So this is wrong. I have to redo this again. Okay. That looks good. That looks good. This was the point where I had to install the front tire, and I realized as I was doing this how lucky I had been in the past. Other folding electric bikes that I'd been sent already came pre-built and were just in their collapsed form. I'm not gonna sit here and make you watch me struggle with putting this thing on. Let's just say it took a really long time. Okay. After I installed the tire, I figured it was now time to put the front light on. The only problem is this front light here should be done after the fender is on, because there's this little lip that comes off of the fender that screws into the same bolt that the light attaches to the bike frame. so you want to put the fender on first, and so I ended up having to redo this as well. Again, this manual's not super specific, you kind of have to make mistakes as you go through. So I hope if you do buy this bike, or if someone out there is putting this thing together and doesn't know what they're doing, hopefully they can watch this and it'll help out a little bit. Now that the fenders were on there properly, it was time to put on this basket holder that they give you for the back of the bike. This was actually a really big pain to install. The holes on the bike and the holes on the basket holder where the nuts and bolts are supposed to go through didn't line up. So I tried bending it and that didn't work, and after some time I found a way that did work. All that was left was to install the rear tail light and the bike was complete. Alright, so in about an hour or so I was able to fix up the bike and get it complete. I have not tested it yet, but about an hour of assembly is what you'd expect from something like this. The only part that's really messed up, this tail light here. It's really cheap plastic, so I'm actually not very surprised that it broke. So I'm going to contact the company and have them send me a new one. Beyond that, the only annoying things that I found while working on this bike was this rear fender was a pain in the ass. That it did require 2 people to put that on. The handlebar system, they don't have anywhere in the rules where it tells you how to assemble this thing. You just have to kind of look at the picture. So I did eventually figure it out, and I think this is going to be the test of it actually working. Yeah, okay, so I got it. Perfect. Okay, so we're good. Yeah, beyond that, the only thing I noticed is all of the handlebar, this whole system, the handlebars need to come down a little bit more because all this is just all over the place. Like the grips are pointed straight up at the air. So I didn't get that on correctly, but beyond that, I mean, it wasn't too difficult, just took some work. So now it's time to charge the battery and find out how this thing drives. To be quite honest, this is the smoothest and most comfortable electric bike that I've ridden so far. I didn't even have to change the seat. You sit at a near perfect 90-degree angle on this bike and the neck can raise to accommodate people from 5'2" to 6'4". I was very impressed with how smooth this bike was to ride, and with that, we gotta talk about the specs of this thing. This bike has a 750 watt motor, which for me is a really good standard. The battery is a 48 volt, 12.8 amp hour, which is huge and has a charge time of about 5 to 7 hours. Though for me, I noticed it charged a lot faster than that. I got this bike down to below half battery and charged it back up almost to full in about 2 hours. The battery is also stored in the center of the bike, which gives it a low profile and is definitely my preference for these electric bikes. However, this bike is the heaviest of the electric bikes that I've tested so far, weighing in at 73 pounds, which means you definitely don't want to be riding this bike without power, and especially up hills. One thing I realized while I was riding it is the bike has a 750 watt peak motor, not nominal, which means that it'll boost to 750 when it needs it, but it does feel like it runs at maybe 400 to 500 watts, which arguably is a benefit or a pitfall. This means that you'll save on battery usage, but it made me worry about the capabilities of this bike. This was until I started pushing the bike to its limits, and I was blown away. They rate this bike's top speed at 25 miles an hour, but they're lying. There are 5 pedal assist modes, and at pedal assist 4, I was doing 23 miles an hour without even trying. So I cranked up the pedal assist to 5 and almost got to 40. I was sustaining a top speed of 38 miles an hour without any issue, making this the fastest bike that I've tested so far. However, the acceleration was pretty low and it takes a couple rotations before the motor kicks in, which as far as I know, you can adjust that in the advanced settings from the built-in display. Now I wondered if this was in fact a folding bike when I was unpacking it, and it is. All of Engwe's electric bikes are foldable, and they come in a range of different colors. I really like the emblem that they throw on the side of the bike. It looks badass for a bicycle. There are of course some of the standard parts that you see on all of these electric bikes, like the 7-speed Shimano gear shift, the 4-inch fat tires which offer some extra cushion as you're riding around. They also have tetramechanical disc brakes, which are really good, and I see why companies use these parts. They're standard, sure, but they get the job done. The bike also has front-end suspension, which I always love to see on the electric bikes. And if you like, you can buy yourself a shock absorption seat post and trade it in for the stock stick that they give you. Now, I'm not going to go into the advanced settings of the bikes too much. They put all the tweakable settings in the manual, and I really appreciate that. This is the first company so far that has made a concise list like this, so you're not scouring the internet trying to figure out what every setting does. The bike also comes stock with a walk mode. All you have to do is hold down the minus button for 3 seconds, and it'll walk itself up a steep hill. For 73 pounds of metal, this is essential. Other nice to haves is a little bell already installed on the handlebars. They didn't have to add this, and that's pretty cool. As you saw before, it also comes with a light on the front, which is bright enough for people to see you at night, and a tail light on the back, which you can either turn on with the light button, otherwise will also come on automatically when you hit the brakes. They also give you a 1-year warranty on everything, which is great since their tail light especially is made of very cheap plastic. And you also have an IP65 water resistance rating, meaning that you're not going to want to throw it into a pool or anything, but light rain won't damage the bike. After testing this bike against the other bikes that I've ridden, the Electric 2.0 and the Rattan LM750, this bike beats them in a lot of criteria. Its top speed is much higher, it's far more comfortable to ride for longer periods of time, its motor is so smooth, and in my opinion, it's the best looking of the set. There are some things it lacks. It doesn't have a kinetic recharge for the battery like the Rattan does. You have to assemble this one, and the manual is pretty useless in terms of building it. It's also 7 pounds heavier than the other bikes that I own. And beyond the really cheap taillight, I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's genuinely my favorite of the electric bikes that I currently own. This bike goes for $13.99, which is steeper than the other two, but if you're looking for comfort and top speed, this is a quality bike. I want to thank Engwe for sending this over and ruining the other two bikes for me. And as for you, I hope this video was helpful. Ride safe, my friends.